a great speaker, and I always say that because it's really true. I bring millions of notes, and I scribble, and I hardly ever look at them, so I'll do my best. All right, so this is what happened. Last night, we landed in Kalamazoo, and I asked my assistant, what is tomorrow? And she said, it's 4 cities, 6 events in 4 cities. I went, all right, that's doable. And, but then she said, but the first 2 are at colleges. And I went, oh my God, millennials. No, it was frightening. And so I went to sleep, and I had this really horrible dream. And I was in my bedroom at the Radisson in Kalamazoo, and all of a sudden the door burst open, and there were all these millennials. You were the Walking Dead, like a cast of the Walking Dead. So this might be why. My experience in school was horrendous, and kind of Dickensian. I'm a drama queen, so that's what it was for me. Because I'm unbelievably dyslexic, and so it was really a nightmare. I have one great story about school. Has nothing to do with my schooling, but it just has to do with Stephen Hawking. So, I know, Cher, Stephen Hawking. So he invited me for lunch once, and it was a very strange lunch. I mean, I had a blast. He's a lot of fun, slowly a lot of fun. But so he has all of his people with him, all these young kids that are geniuses. And there was this Russian girl. She was very sweet, but she was saying there should be no grants for anybody that it's on math grant. So I got a hold of her and said, sweetheart, what about all the other, what about history and, what is this shit? So Stephen starts doing that thing, and it comes out, Cher, when time travel is perfected, history will be obsolete. And I went, come on, dude, that's not the truth, all right? So we got into a little warm, not heated, but a little bit, kind of thing. And so that's my only experience. It was the most remote fun, but it was that's it for me, because it was really a nightmare for me growing up, not being able to read or spell out. Everything I learned listening in school. So that's that. All right, so the reason I'm here, of course, is to beg you and to cajole you, and from my heart to tell you that, first of all, you guys are taking over. Not that we want to give up control, but you're taking it anyway, and it's time. It's absolutely time. We need new blood. We need fresh ideas. I actually had an idea that millennials should have some sort of place in the government, because you have new ideas, you have great ideas, and we should be taking advantage of them. In the 60s, there was that shift, too. It was a big shift. And when I grew up, it was very different. It wasn't very good for women at all. I have mentioned this before, but it was such a stupid idea where women would be introduced as Mrs. Somebody, like, this is Mrs. John Smith. And you go, great, what's her first name? And before that, women could be beaten. The rule of thumb is you could beat your wife with a stick no bigger than your thumb. So we've gone through a lot. And guys, you're just gonna have to sit through this for a second. So as women, we have gone through so much. So the idea of having a woman president is just, it's long in coming, and it's a great thing. It's a great idea because of our daughters being able to realize that there is a ceiling that has been broken through, and that any one of them can be president. And that's important. It's like when President Obama became president. I was there, and we couldn't believe it. We were walking down the street, everybody, it was like a block party everywhere you went. But look, it told people, yes, no matter where you come from, no matter what color your skin is, no matter who you are, you can be president of the United States. And that's what everyone needs to know. think that one of the most important things I can say is, we've seen Donald Trump. We know who he is. You know, my mother used to say, yeah, I know. No, I mean, there's not enough booing in the world as far as I'm concerned. He and I was reading this thing, and it has nothing to do with, it was called Never Enough. It was a book that this man's writing about him. And he was talking about if you get into a fight, you have to, like, kill your opponent 10 times over. And then he was saying, my name came up. And I thought, okay. And it was like, you know, Cher tweeted me, and then I blasted her, I killed her ass, you know, I called her a loser, and I was like, yeah, I really care that he called her a loser. And, but then he said, and I shut her ass up, and she never tweeted me again. And I was thinking, you know, you don't have to lie this way. You know, you're Donald Trump. Not that that means anything to me, but you don't have to do this. So he said, I kicked her ass, and then she never tweeted me again. And the truth is, I tweeted him less. And what I said was, you know what, dude, I don't think Kennedy or Lincoln would take the time to tweet me. You know, you're going to be president for acting like this. A little bit of a list, I won't go on, but you know, John McCain is not my favorite person, but he was a war hero, and he had both of his arms broken twice, and so that guy, who the only thing he did during Vietnam was try not to get STDs, he doesn't need to say that. Okay, and then to make fun of a man the journalist that had a disability, it shows his character is so. It's just, I don't know what happened to him as a child. If he was a child, I'd feel sorry, but as a grown-up, he's an asshole, and I don't feel sorry. And the Khans, their son, you know, Captain Khan, he didn't just get killed, he got killed trying to save his fellow officers, his men. So, you know, he died in a service that wasn't just fighting, he gave up his life for his fellow comrades. And that says something. And being a Muslim, it has to say something more, because we cannot divide ourselves. You know, when I was young, it was against the law in some states to go with someone who was not of your race. And I know now, and I've seen now, the browning of America is a fabulous thing. When she was 8 years old, and she sang to help pay for food and for lodging, and you know, because it was hard during the Depression. And when I grew up poor, you know, and except for the odd time when my mother would marry someone rich, and I don't even know what happened then. And so we would go like from stew for a week to one time we lived in Beverly Hills, and I thought, this is better, you know. So, but what I'm saying is, you know, there was one time for me where because I was very athletic, and I would run out of my shoes before we would have the money to buy new ones. And I went one day, or actually it wasn't one day, it was 2 weeks with rubber bands around my shoes so that I could go, so that I could, you know, so I had shoes. Now, obviously I found a great recipe for lemonade, but it was rough then with the lemons, okay? So, but what I hope for is I hope that everyone in our country still has the ability to have the American dream, to make their wishes come true, and that everyone has the same opportunity in life. So you know, it's such a terrible thing to feel like no one's listening to you and no one cares about you. And I know that from my experience. My mother experienced it, my grandmother experienced it. I want people to realize that everyone is worthwhile, no matter what they do, no matter who they are, no matter what they look like. It's humanity that's important, and I believe that you guys are the ones that have got to bring that humanity forward, because you don't see the differences. You accept people for who they are. You know, The first gay people I ever met, you know, my mother and my father hung out with actors and actresses and models and artists, and that's what I thought there was in the world. But then one day I came home and there were these two guys in the living room, and they were so different. And I thought, who are these guys? And they were like, and I thought, these guys are having the best time. I've never seen men like this. They were hairdressers. So, and they were so much fun. We went to Palm Springs, all of us, my mother, my sister, and my mother's best friend. And I thought, these guys have more fun than anyone I've ever met. So, but at that time, it was against the law. Okay, you went to jail if they